right, we're so live. I'm gonna let him in now. Here we go. Hey, Prada. Hey, Chad.
Hey, brother.
Hey, Richard.
Hi,
Allison.
Caesar.
Gigi. What's
Hi.
happening? Hey, everybody. Great to see you. Let me spotlight us here. And oh my goodness. We're gonna have so much fun today, folks. There's still some people trickling in, so let's let them do their thing. Before we fully get started here. Oh, look, Ravi's here. I should send out an actual Zoom registration more often. I get more people when I do that. It's just, it's an extra step. Oh, look, Labib is here. Uh, let's see. Hey, Ravi, what is happening? Ravi's on the go. All right, folks. As folks join us, I'll go ahead and let them in. But without further ado, if you're joining us for the first time, we like to start with a little intro music. Feel free to dance along. Fine. Get it warmed up a little bit. Jamie's into it. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Chad, that was killer. I give that a 10.5. Yeah, that was killer. Great moves. I'm feeling good, everybody. So excited to be with Dr. Jaime Seeman today. And so excited that so many folks are joining us live for this session. Just want to start by saying, hey, if this is your first time, I'm Cesar Cervantes. I'm the founder of Top Talks, where we help folks land and deliver TEDx talks and keynote speeches. And it's so much fun. And I'm here with Dr. Jaime Seeman, who is an OB. Is that right, Jamie?
Yep. Delivered a
And
baby this morning.
I know, I was just gonna tell folks you were in surgery and everything. And I was like, I hope she makes it. So I'm assuming everything went smooth.
Yep.
Uh, Jamie also is a former Mrs. Is it what
Mrs. Nebraska.
Mrs. Nebraska? I wanted to get
Yeah.
the state right. What year was that, Jamie?
I was the COVID queen. It was 2020.
2020. And there's a ton of other accolades. If you don't follow her already, find her on Instagram at Dr. Fit and Fabulous, I believe is
Yep.
the handle. And Jamie came through our coaching program on the TEDx side, and it was just such a joy to work with her, honestly. And I knew the talk when it went live was fantastic. Instagram picked it up, the official TEDx Instagram picked it up and featured it on there. And then a couple years later, TED says, you know what, we're going to elevate your talk and
So
make it
crazy.
make it an official TED Talk, and it's gone live now. And anyway, folks, join me in welcoming Dr. Jaime Seaman.
Thank you for having me.
So cool, Jamie. Did I miss anything? Anything else you want to say to folks as an introduction?
No, no. I've worn a lot of hats in my life, and this is one I'm just super proud of because it's such a personal, project, and but had a lot of helpers just like you that helped me get there and make it the best it could be, and I'm super proud of what we've done.
Yeah, it's so cool. The talk is awesome. The Wonder of Weightlifting, Ted decided to call it. I like the name. They kind of did a little rebrand. When it gets elevated, they tend to do a re-edit of the
Yep.
talk, and then a new description, new title. Maybe we should start there. Jamie, how are you feeling about the wonder of weightlifting?
Yeah, I feel good about it. It's interesting because even though it's the same talk to me, you're right. Like they do the process to get there, I think was surprising to me. I just thought like they email you out of the blue and like we're gonna do this, but there's an extremely rigorous um, process to vet the talk, to cite every single sentence, every word. People probably don't know this. They literally contacted my mother because there's an anecdotal story at the beginning of my TED talk. I was like, thank God she's alive. Like, what would they do if my mom wasn't alive? But as like frustrating as that was, because there was a point in time where I was like, I don't know what else to give you. Like this is,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I think it just makes me even more proud because I know it's gone through this crazy rigorous process and that they believe in, my message and what I said. And now it's out there for the world to see on a whole new level.
That's right. And you can feel confident in the integrity of the talk and everything that you say and everything that it's backed by. I just want to show folks, if you haven't gone to TED to kind of check it out, let's go over there and just take a look at the wonder of weightlifting. Right now, we're at 242,000 views. I think we're on day 5. Incredible. Jamie already had over 200,000 views on the TEDx version of it. And so it's just so cool to see, folks really sharing it and getting value out of it. And I want to start there, Jamie, just in terms of the content of it, because this is your area of expertise. Before we jump back and kind of talk about the journey, tell us why this was the message that you had to get on the stage.
Well, I'm a full-time OBGYN, so I do surgery, I deliver babies, I do women's health, and trying to decide what I wanted to talk about was almost a little overwhelming because I'm an expert in a lot of areas of health. But my TEDx talk really came from a super personal story, kind of growing up as a little girl, playing sports, being in weightlifting, but always kind of living with a shoe on each side of the fence that girls, it was very masculine to lift weights. Like that's what boys did, but girls didn't. And I was always kind of like treading that line really closely. And then there was this shift in my life where I graduated college, I got into medical school, and it was a very enjoyable transition. I was like, I'm done with the weightlifting, I'm done with all this crazy training, I'm ready to use my brain and get into academics. But physically, that shift going from not being forced to work out, but working out a lot. And now I'm in a classroom and I'm sitting on my butt for long hours in the library, taking tests. And then my husband and I decided to start a family. There was a huge shift in my own health. And I was eventually diagnosed with hypothyroidism and prediabetes. And as a healthcare provider, that was like a very eye-opening, moment for me because these are the things that I treat patients with every single day. And I also had a very tragic loss in my own life, lost one of my best friends in 2015. And that sent me on this whole new trajectory of figuring out my own health and kind of like being accountable to the world that doctors are just like regular humans. Like we have to decide what to eat for lunch and dinner. We have to make time for our training. And so it's like, how do I take this, like what I learned in 40 years and put it into a 10-minute talk? That
Right.
was like so monumental. And I know every time you and I would talk, I'm like, how do I even pare this down? Like, there's no way. Like, these are all the bones. Like, we can't just start taking bones out of here. But it's pretty amazing how, um, I think you told me one time, like, make every word matter and like be so concise and just figure out how to get your message across, like, quickly. And it was great advice because I think people's attention span is not that long. And I think the format that they've gone to of shorter talks is like so good.
Yeah.
Because you can get your message out, you can get it out quickly, and hopefully, that resonates with somebody out there that listens to it, or a little girl like my 3 daughters,
Mm.
who, deep down inside, they know they can be a strong, powerful human. I think physical strength, for a long time was just something that the boys did.
Yeah. Well, I love it. And you're exactly right. I mean, I think the clarity of your message comes through, and that is the beauty of the short form is you have to pick a singular problem. You have to tell us why, you're the person to deliver this talk, how you're connected to the problem, and really one primary takeaway. Of course, there's, tools that you can give us, but it really is a singular message where we walk away with, and you've done that beautifully. Um, okay, one last question about the content. if we were if we're about to go on this journey and we've decided, yes, I need to build muscle. I need to lift heavy things for my health and longevity. What are some quick tools or tips you can give us to get started?
Well, I said it in my talk, and that's you can literally just do body weight exercises. So I call them exercise snacks. So you guys are on Zoom right now. I do this at my desk. I literally use the weight of my own body. So I might get down on the floor and just do a set of push-ups, or my nurses laugh at me because I'll come in between patients and I'll be like, okay, everybody, 15 body weight squats. It's actually interesting the impact that has on health. They've looked at like glucose markers, that even just doing calf raises at your desk. Now, obviously, that's not like a super level of stimulus. So eventually you're going to have to start challenging yourself more and moving to things like, you can have resistance bands in your drawer at work, or of course, like going all the way to, getting to the gym and actually using some dumbbells and free weights would be like the best thing ever. But what's very interesting to me is the amount of work required to see benefit is actually really small. So I think people see it as such an intimidating task that how will I ever incorporate this into my life? Or I don't like it. I think there's ways to make it fun. And I think we have to remember, I think women in particular, we like to hate our bodies. We like to find the flaws and the things that are wrong with us. But I always tell women, I'm like, hey, sometimes it's about shifting your mindset to being strong and stable. And if you think about just, I'm just going to get strong, I'm going to be strong. It kind of shifts it away from this idea that we all need to like lose 10 pounds.
Mhm.
Because most people, when they just try to get strong, usually the body composition changes come with it.
That's a great tip. And I'm not saying that this is me, but let's say I'm trying to get into the gym a few days a week, and I just seem to always have a scheduling conflict or don't wake up in time. Again, not saying that's me, but if it was, how would I change that, Jamie?
So my workouts are on my schedule like any other meeting. So if I have surgery at 7 a.m., the gym is like on my schedule at 5 a.m. I use this kind of motto of pay yourself first. So before I go out into the world and I'm like doing these things for my kids and my patients and all these other people, I do my workout in the morning because it kind of sets the tone for the day. And I always laugh, like I don't actually train in the gym so that I can back squat 400 pounds. Like that's when I die, like that's not the accolade I'm on my headstone. Like she squatted 400 pounds, but I train for life. Like I train to be able to run up a flight of stairs, to help a woman at the hospital. I train because I want a vacation and I want to crawl on the floor with my grandkids one day. And I want to, so you got to think of it as like, okay, I'm going to the gym because it's actually going to make your brain work better. It's actually going to give you better concentration and focus at your job. It's going to make you feel better. So I think it's just shifting that mentality of instead of something this is Caesar has to do this, I get to do this. I get to go, celebrate what my body can do, but you have to put it on your schedule as the most important meeting of the day because the hardest part is showing up. Usually once you're there, you can like get into it and it makes you feel good and you get going, but you just got
Mm,
to schedule it. And I try to put it early in the day because late in the day, the
yeah.
list of reasons why I could maybe do something else starts to grow.
It's true. And I'm glad I don't have that problem. But if I did, I'm glad I have the solution now. All right, Jamie. So, all right, let's jump into kind of your journey, the TEDx journey. Some folks have some surprising takeaways. We helped you kind of craft the message and get the applications out and all that good stuff. Let's start with that as we're sort of at the beginning of it. Was there any tips or takeaways that you would, kind of give folks as they're crafting the idea itself to get the message out, or even in the application process itself?
Yeah, the application process was interesting because every single host site was different. Like some of them wanted to do a Zoom interview, and some of them would just like outright make an offer, or some would want a little video snippet of, delivering like an example of your talk. So that was very interesting. It was almost kind of like dating a little bit. Like, okay, where is my best home going to be too, because like I think it's easy to just jump forward and say like yes, 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 oh my gosh, I got to talk. But the once you land it, once you like know, then it's just like the memorization part, you know.
Yeah.
You got to like make the best TEDx talk you ever can. You go shop it. Somebody is totally going to buy it, and then it's figuring out how to deliver it in the best way possible, because it's like it felt monumental because I'm like, this is going to live in the internet
Right.
forever.
Right.
And now it's on TED.com, which is wild. But one good piece of advice somebody gave me when I was trying to memorize my talk is well, first I would make my family sit in the living room and they got to hear my talk a lot. Um, but then in my car, every time I got in my car, right? Everybody has like a 10-minute drive, which is like the length of my talk. So every day I got in my car, I was like giving my TED talk while I was driving. And it was good
Nice.
because you have to focus while you're driving and you're doing all these things. And which is good because when you're staring at an audience, you're, trying to make eye contact and look natural. But you just have to do it over and over and over again. I remember when I first started, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to memorize this.
It was tight. I remember we were going back and forth with the script, and yeah, and then there was a moment where you were like, Caesar, this needs to be locked down. I am getting a
Yeah,
little
we were
bit nervous.
changing it like all the way
We
to the
were.
end, which is fine. But yeah, like I said, I didn't know how I was going to possibly pare it down. It
Yeah.
was every word felt really important to me, in my message, but it's figuring out what a listener, what an audience member, like, what do they really, need to hear?
Yeah. Well, we've got questions already coming in, and we'll get to those folks. If you want to pop them in now, please do. Yeah, Jamie, since you bring up kind of the just the talk itself and the memorization piece, one thing that you really did extremely well is for a lot of folks, we think we're like once we have it memorized, like that's done. Like okay, now it's memorized. But it actually needs to be beyond memorized because what I mean by that is you need to be present and then you actually need to deliver it in a way that's engaging and where you're reacting and responding to what you're saying. And you have some funny moments in there and some great stories, and you did really, really a beautiful job at bringing that your personality into it. And so I'm wondering, take us now beyond memorization where you were playing with the nuances of delivery.
Yeah, I think that in medicine, we give talks about medical society meetings are so boring. So I feel like I learned a little bit that you really have to engage with the audience. Now, where I gave mine, it was not a huge, giant live audience. My live audience was quite small. So, you're trying to figure out how to like, do I engage with these people right here? Am I looking into the camera? But the little funny moments that we put in there, I think kind of like humanize you a little bit, that you're just not standing up there. I'm like the world expert on, this topic. It really gives people a moment to resonate with something and to like show some emotion. And it lets you kind of like change the inflection in your voice, and it keeps it interesting. Even though it's 10 minutes, like people can disengage really quickly if they're just like, not really, right? Like how many times have you guys watched TED Talk and like 5 minutes in, you're like, well, next. Um, so you have to hook them. And so, we started with this great story of like me being a little girl, but then once we got into the weightlifting portion, we were like making fun of guys at the gym and with like crazy faces. My kids were like horribly embarrassed the first couple times I gave that in my living room. They're like, Mom, you're not going to do that on stage. I was like, oh, watch. We are, because it's just, like you buy a ticket to the show and like you want to be entertained. So as much as you have this like super important message to get across, like it is it is somewhat of a performance.
Yes. Yeah, and there's a question I want to address this question that just came in by Labib, right? Because this is a thing in speaking where he's asking, but repeating it over and over, would it make you lose energy, passion, and energy when delivering it? Well, that this is different than like a presentation that you're giving or a talk maybe that you won't give again. This is filmed, it's short form, and you want to hit every moment. There are some folks that will still do a TED Talk like that where, they're just not comfortable with beyond memorization. But to me, it doesn't make sense because you have to submit the script anyway. And so now you have the script. And so really what it requires is that you're just spending more hours with it, Labib, so that when you deliver, you're present and you can change it a little bit when you're in it. But I think for me, it's really the best way to do it is just to put the hours in and to get it beyond memorized. Jamie, I don't know if you have other thoughts.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had it memorized and I was like, I'm ready to go. But there's just something about standing on the red dot and now there's a live audience in front of you and it really changes the nerves a little bit. I actually left an entire sentence out of my TEDx talk and nobody knows what sentence it was except me, but I left an entire sentence out of my talk. Um,
I didn't
so
realize
it's
that.
like, I don't think you can really overdo it because the variables are different that day when you show
Yeah.
up.
The
Yeah.
other thing too is even if you think about a keynote when you're a speaker, eventually it's so like it is memorized. So the first time you gave it, it might not have been. You might have had bullet points, but once you know take that talk on the road, it's beyond memorized.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get into kind of like the elevating to TED and all of that good stuff, I have to, you have an Instagram audience, which is awesome. And that certainly was, you know, played in your favor. And I remember when it launched and you sent it out to your audience and you told everybody, I'm not sure I want you to tell us about like how you intentionally launched the talk because most people never get more than a few thousand views on their talk. You got, you know, 200,000 plus. So that's the first question. The second is tell us about the haters in the comments and how you deal with those haters. Because once
Yeah.
you get a bunch of views, that's inevitable, right?
Yeah. It was, and Ted actually warned me too that it will probably be the same on TED.com. I almost sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to stay out of the comment section. The what's crazy is the number of comments about my voice alone, like had nothing to do with the content, but I was obviously traveling to do my TEDx and I got a respiratory virus and my voice was a little cracky that day. But what are you going to do when you got to give a TEDx talk?
Right.
You're going to do the best you can. But oh my gosh, yeah, you go to the comment section and people can just be brutal. And it is very vulnerable to just deliver a TEDx, like in general.
Yes.
And then people are in the comments like, well, what about you're saying that people can't be dancers? Like it just has to be weightlifting. I mean, people really will take your message and like spin it into whatever they
Right.
want.
Right.
I mean, there was lots of great comments too, but it's trying sometimes in the comment section on YouTube for sure.
Well, the vast majority of folks were, you know, super into the talk and sharing it. I mean, obviously. And look, you're going to trigger people because you're amazing on like so many fronts, right? But my favorite response that you had, somebody was like, I don't know, something snarky like, "Oh my God, everybody's getting their own TEDx talk these days." And you're like, "Cool, where's yours?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
I rarely comment, but sometimes I don't know. You just have to. Very professionally.
Jamie's
The best
in there.
advice I ever got was if you get a troll in your comment section, you just say, "Yep, you're right." Because they want you, they want to fight, like they want the fight, they want the
Right.
struggle, right? You're like, "Yep, you're right."
It's true. And actually or you just leave it and then other people are
Yeah.
actually the ones defending you, which is the best scenario, right?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, backing up. So talk to us about like your thoughts around launching and just how to get it out there and maximize the visibility of it.
Yeah. I mean, I do have a social media presence, so that was like a very easy avenue to just blast it out to everybody. Oh my gosh, go watch this. Make sure you like put the link. Don't give people that extra step. Like you want it where they can just like click and watch. Same if you have like an email list, or maybe while you're starting to work on your talk, you can create like an email list so that you have an easy way to kind of blast it out once it launches. But I literally was texting it to my friends and I'm like, hey, can you help me out? Can you send this to 10 of your friends? You just like have to do boots on the ground work a little bit. Because once you start getting more views, then right, you can use algorithms in your favor. It's gonna like, pop up more for people. But it's been several years since it's been out and I'm still sharing it.
Yeah.
Was still sharing the old version.
Yep.
Um, and you just got to get it into people's on their computers and on their phones and you just
And remind
ask
them.
people for help.
Right. And I think that's exactly right. Like people genuinely want to help. And like we all, no matter how small your audience is, you have a network of people that would love to help. And also, genuinely be affected by the value of your talk, right? And so, whether it's like a traditional launch where you're gathering people up and you're saying, hey, I just gave my TEDx, raise your hand if you're willing to be on my launch team. And then you just ask them for a few things, right? Watch it, like it, share it, comment. Watch it all the way through. That tells the algorithm this is good content, right?
Yep.
And yeah, and I would say you have to remind them over and like just you think you're bugging, but actually they're just like haven't done it yet.
Yep.
And so multiple times, and then you reshare it like if just like it was your book, right? How many for the rest of your life you're going to be telling people about your book until your next book. And
Yep.
it should be on the signature and it should be front and center if you have a website on your LinkedIn, all of the things. And so, these days, just because it goes live and it's on the TEDx YouTube channel, it doesn't mean that people are going to find it. And so you
Yeah.
really have to be the driver in that way.
Yeah, and you can if you can find your way onto podcasts, even if they're like smaller, podcasts, that's a great way to get into audiences that, don't know who you are. What's been so crazy is since my TEDx launched, I mean, I had a social media presence before, but since my TEDx launched, I had the opportunity to go on Dr. Phil and I asked them how they found me, and they said they found me from my TEDx talk. And then I was asked for an interview on Chris Cuomo, and I asked his team how they found me, and they're like, "We found your TEDx talk." So I think like you just got to keep putting it out there to the world, and the message will resonate with the person that's supposed to get it, and it can open up a lot of opportunities. It's pretty cool.
Jamie, you did not tell me that Dr. Phil found you that way or Chris Cuomo. And I'm over here like, what? I would have been telling everybody. Hello, Jamie got on Dr. Phil
Yeah.
thanks to her TEDx talk.
Yep. Yep.
That's
Yeah, it was on. It
incredible.
was an episode about the new, GLP-1 Ozempic obesity craze, but it was mostly about childhood obesity and like should we be giving kids these medicines? And so on the episode, there was a young man and his mom who had been struggling their whole life, and I'm actually still in contact with his mom, but I've been helping him. He's weightlifting now. He has like a nutritionist he's working with, and just like completely changing his life. It was a really cool opportunity.
Wow, Jamie, that's so huge. That's amazing. Um, So okay, so that's actually a good transition to kind of now the next phase of it, right? So all of these awesome things happen from the TEDx. And then all of a sudden, you get word that TED is interested in
Hmm.
elevating the talk. And so let me just go to these questions up here. Uh, all right. How did you find out that TED wanted to elevate the talk on their platform? What was the process like?
Yeah. So they contacted the host of my event. So I was at TEDx Greenhouse Road. So I got a email from him and said, "Hey, TED's been in contact with me. They're interested in your talk, but they have some additional questions." So he sent over this email. It was like no less than like 20 different things that their research team was working on. So they really like comb through your talk. And I think some of it is my talk had a lot of science in it. We used statistics, we quoted studies. So they want to make sure and, verify that these things are legitimate before they put it on their platform. So I sent back my responses. One of those was asking for my mother's phone number and email. And then they sent them back with some additional questions. And then I sent them back again. And then they sent like three more. It was like a lot of back and forth. And then we just kind of waited. And then we found out that they wanted it. And like I said, they do go through their own editorial process. And I knew they were going to change the title of it. So they had kind of like a questionnaire form that I filled out that kind of helped their team decide what will we put in the description, what will we title it. It was just kind of interesting because it just is completely different than your TEDx talk. And then when they said they were going to launch it, they gave me a date. They ended up moving it up 24 hours. And I think
Yeah.
Caesar actually didn't know that it was moving up 24 hours. But they kind of tell you, like be ready to share this, have all your avenues and channels like primed and ready to go. Um, but they also kind of said like, we're going to launch it, but then XYZ, ABCDEFG could also happen. And it was like,
Mm-hmm.
no guarantee. It's like, we're going to put it on TED.com. We don't know if it'll go on the app. We don't know if it'll go out in the email. We don't, and I don't know
Yeah.
how they decide those things. I'm still just kind of like, riding the
Yeah.
waves. But it was a process. Like it wasn't just a, hey, we're elevating this. It was
Yeah.
like work.
And they were super clear that like, hey, we haven't made a decision yet, right? So it was kind
Yeah,
of like, hey, we're thinking about it, but here's what we need. So there's this rigorous process where they fact check everything, right? So as you were saying, they contact the organizer. They're like, we've identified this talk. One of the reasons that I can add that I've seen why they choose certain talks is often based on a news cycle or something that's trending, right? Not always, but I do think like building muscle has been in the news, right? And and
100%.
and so I think this is part of why then they go to their archive of talks and they start going, all right, this is trending. Let's see what we've got. And it's a great, tool for them, of course, because they pull from their feeder, which is TEDx, and then they get to put something out there that they know is already trending and people are wanting more content of.
For sure.
So, yeah. So, all right, rigorous fact check, back and forth. They're like, hey, you said 2018 on this, but actually the only study we could find was on this. And I mean, it was like it was really intense and for good reason, right? They want to
Yeah.
uphold the integrity of TED and also want to make sure that they're providing good content when they put the TED name on it. So, the first takeaway I would say, folks, is when you're getting your script together, some organizers, some events may be more rigorous than others. You should be as rigorous as you can be with the integrity of what you're saying and where it comes from, and making sure that you can back it by good research and good study.
Yeah.
And Jamie had all of that lined up, even if there
Well,
was,
in retrospect, I probably maybe would have done, I mean, because my talk was more than 2 years ago. So I'm getting back on my hard drive, like, okay,
yeah,
I know I had my sources here. I'm like frantically looking. Okay, we quoted this study. Like it was, I probably would have been like more organized the first time,
yeah.
knowing what I know now. Um, but you just never know.
Yeah, and so how can you do that? You have your script and you annotate it. And if you can
Yeah.
do that up front, that's great because it could be 2 years later that they pull this talk out, could be more. So that's one hiccup that you want to be aware of. The other that I was surprised with, which was kind of like um, uh, the the video. They were like, we want the source files
Oh.
of the video.
Hmm.
So they weren't just going to take the video that was uploaded from the organizer from TEDx, but they were like, hey, can you get us the original source files of those three cameras because we're going to do our own cut.
Hmm.
And it was like, who has that? I don't, I
We were
don't know.
panicking. We were panicking. I was
So, and
freaking
they
out
were,
inside.
yeah. And they were pretty like, we need this before we can move forward. Like it was like, it felt like if you don't have it, like they can't do it. I don't know if that's true, right? I don't know. Maybe they would have worked with what they had. But the organizer didn't have it. You didn't have it. They never gave it to you.
Yeah.
And so it was super fortunate that the studio where they recorded it
Still have it.
saved it in their archives. And in fact, they were saying that, oh gosh, we should have deleted it, but we didn't. It's here, which is amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. God's
Uh,
grace on that one. I was sitting
It's
there thinking, like, somebody deleted my TEDx talk. Like, oh my gosh, like, how could this happen?
Yeah, so so fortunate. And then the result really is that it looks beautiful. And obviously it's on fire. So let's look at other questions that we have here, folks, and see. All right, let's see. Oh, the link was posted in it. What was the original title? Charlotte wants to know.
Oh, it was why women should get serious about strength. And
That's
I think
right.
they wanted something shorter, which is, I think, where the wonder of weightlifting came from. Um, but it sounds great to me.
Yeah, I love it. And you have this kind of like Wonder Woman theme in your mind's eye, and so it's really cool that they picked that.
Yeah.
All right, folks, I'll open up to any other questions that we have for Jamie. So if you have any other questions, just raise up your hand and we'll get to them now, and we'll let you come off mute and have a quick chat, even if it's like related to your workout. I mean, she's here. All right, Fauzia.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi.
Hi, I'm quickly looking at your website on the upgradepi.com, and I see your process in the weight loss. You do have medical process as well, but you also have like mentioning that you have consultation and health coaching. I'm just wanted to see what are the different ways to work with you.
Yeah, so I'm licensed in the state of Nebraska, so I have to be you either have to come see me here. We are not set up for telehealth across all 50 states, which some of my colleagues are, but we are not. So I currently only see people in Nebraska.
Got it. So we have to make an in-person consultation.
Yeah, but if you tell me where you live, I have lots of amazing colleagues across the country, and I'd be happy to plug you in with somebody that's near you or that does
Nice.
online.
Yeah, I live in Southern California.
Okay. Okay. Let me brainstorm for you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Fauzia. Who else? Richard.
Hi there. Hey, Jamie. So thanks, by the way, Caesar, for putting this webinar on. It's really valuable. Jamie, I had a couple of questions. Firstly, I was wondering, like, how many roughly TEDx events did you submit your talk for? And I asked this because I had to submit to 300 before I got one that said yes to me. So I was just wondering, did you have the same kind of process? And were you a professional speaker before that? Did you do any talks before that?
I did not do any speaking outside of like I speak at conferences and things like that. But I can't remember what number application this was.
It was less than 50. I could probably
It
pull
was
up the
less than 50.
application.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
not 300. But I do remember like we were like 20 or 30 or so in and like not really getting a lot. And I was like, oh, you start to panic. But like I said, I think like sometimes each host has like a theme and maybe your content just like doesn't go with their theme. They all were very different in what they were asking for. But I was super happy with the one I went to. I absolutely adored all the other speakers. It went really smooth. The studio was awesome. It you will land where you're supposed to land, but I do know I was like getting nervous after a bit. It's hard, right? Because it's just
Yeah.
like a vulnerable process.
Yeah, I think, some folks have that experience where it does take a bunch, but I would say if it's over 100, it's probably the message. That's just my experience, and so most of our one-on-one clients will about half of them will land it within 50, and the other half it takes a little bit longer. I hope that answers it, Richard. Thank you, sir. Who else? All right. Well, Jamie, here's how we'll exit. I would love just, if you could do it all again, oh, we have one more question too. If you could do it all again, is there anything that you would change about the process, about, the talk itself? I mean, obviously you've landed in this incredible place, but we always have things where we might have tweaked it.
I wouldn't change the talk. I still to this day love the talk. I probably would have been more organized in my writing process and my citing process and my bibliography process because when TED came to me, I was like scrambling to find the information that I needed because it had been several years. I probably would have contacted my promoter and asked for the raw video. I just didn't even think of that. Like it just went on YouTube. And I downloaded from YouTube, which is obviously like at a lesser quality because I cut it up to make some, you know, social media promotion type things. I mean, it never even crossed my mind that my TEDx talk may have been like deleted forever and ever. So if you land a talk, like they sent a link for still photos, but not for the video. I would ask for your video if they're willing to give it to you.
Charlotte, by promoter, she means the organizer, I think. That's what you were
Yeah, the
saying.
organizer. Yeah.
Yeah, so the organizer, so the folks that are managing the event itself, sometimes they outsource that production team, and you should just specifically ask for it because normally they wouldn't give you all of those files. Some may say no, but they should give you the talk so that you can, you know, chop it up, use it for your own promotional purposes. Um, and then Fauzia's asking how to get in touch with you. Jamie, what's the best way to do that?
Well, I answer all my own DMs on Instagram, so that's probably the fastest way. But my email is drfitandfabulous@gmail.com, and it's spelled out. So it's DOCTOR fit and fabulous, all spelled out at gmail.com. It's doctor spelled out, Caesar. It's not
Oh, that's
DR.
not it. Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
it's DOCTOR. I know it's long, but I
I'm
bet if
putting
you
it in.
type that into Instagram, it still comes up.
I bet it does.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Okay, and then Prana's asking, once you make it to TED.com, do you get invited to the TED conference? Not that we're aware of. So it's sort of like my the TED itself, those conferences that they have, maybe, you know, they'll have like two or three a year. They have like a main one. I think they had it in Vancouver this last time. Those are those are pretty much invitation only, right? There may be some ways to, you know, to get in, but essentially you should think of those as invitation only. Occasionally, TED will have some, you know, something called the global search, and that is actually active right now. And so they've chosen sites all over the world, Chicago, where's the other one? Chicago and I think Sydney. There's another one in India, another one in the UK, etc. And you can actually apply to those. And then once you go and if you were selected, you deliver there and they pick one person to go and speak at the TED conference. For everybody else, you know, TEDx is the access point, just like Brene Brown, just like Simon Sinek, all were TEDx talks and were elevated, right? The benefit also is that you can promote it on your own. You can get it out there, and that organic way of getting that traffic is sometimes better than what TED can do. Honestly, I mean, Jamie was on Dr. Phil because of her TEDx talk. So really, what I would say is think of it as you driving the bus. And Natalie said it's in London. Yes, it's in London. Okay. Last one. Any information about TED Next? How would that benefit for those in the journey? TED Next is just another form of like the big conference that they do, and you can apply to be an attendee, but it's the same. Think about it the same way in terms of how they are selecting those speakers, etc. All right, folks. Can we give another round of applause for Dr. Jaime Seeman for being here today, spending time with us, right out of surgery, looking fit and fabulous, and dropping some knowledge on us.
You guys can't see, but I have scrubs on under.
Do you really?
I have scrub pants.
Amazing.
I
Thank you
just threw
so
this.
much.
I threw this jacket on.
No one would never know, Jamie. It's you've been just such a joy to work with, and my gosh, like seeing this thing come to fruition, and just how amazing you were on that day. You're getting all the attention that this talk deserves, and just want to let you know, like, yeah, you've been amazing.
Could not have done it without you. That is
Thank
the
you.
honest truth.
Thank you, Jamie. Well, you know what time it is. It's time to dance it out, folks. It's time to go this way and that way and all the way around. Here we go. Woo! All right, folks. Yeah, have a great week. Thanks again, Jamie. Love you guys.
Thank you, guys.